Thank you, Charmaine. Thanks to Ashoka U for persisting in pulling this session together despite the current circumstances. I enjoyed joining a couple of sessions yesterday. Thanks as well to Fiona Wilson from University of New Hampshire, who's joining us. Will share some words and is also actually sharing the slides that we'll get to in a moment from her screen.
Thanks,
thanks all of you for joining. So for about 4 years, College for Social Innovation, which is a new nonprofit based in Boston, has teamed up with University of New Hampshire and now 12 other New England-based universities and colleges to develop the Semester in the City model, which is a fully credited semester of learning, I think built from principles around project-based and kind of community-engaged learning, principles around work and internship-based learning, and also kind of immersive study abroad, study away learning. And what I'd love to do is talk a little bit about the model, a little bit about how we're looking to measure the impact of the model, and really get your thoughts on both of those topics. As we're getting started, it'd be great if just anyone in the chat could share, all of you in the chat actually could share, why did you join this session? I think there's a number going on. What are you curious to learn? What are you curious to contribute? But just share those thoughts, and that'll help me as we go through things, and we'll hopefully cover a lot of what you share. Yeah. Nice. Semester in Detroit and semester in Grand Rapids. Excellent. Urban social innovation issues. Excellent. We'll keep those coming as we go. I'm going to say just a bit more about the model, really showing 2 slides. It's a partnership model, as the slide up on the screen illustrates. Really partnering college students who have, throughout history been such powerful engines of social change, colleges and universities, and trying to leverage the assets of colleges in kind of new and different ways. And then social impact organizations. We have 112 that we've worked with so far in the Boston area, ranging from really big ones like the Pine Street Inn, New England's largest homeless shelter, to all kinds of innovative new organizations across climate change, human rights, education, public health, and a lot more. Fiona, let's go to the next slide. The model students come to Boston for a full 15-week semester, fall semester or spring semester, and the learning, which they earn 16 credits for, is built primarily around a 400-hour immersive internship, where Monday through Thursday, 30+ hours a week, they're working. And they're working with a mentor. About half of that time is a special project where they have some autonomy and some independence, working on really difficult issues across the city of Boston. And about half that time is just doing the frontline work of that organization, whether that's screening people at a homeless shelter, tutoring kids, running public health workshops, et cetera, et cetera. Let's go to the next slide, Fiona. So we have, from the beginning, which was 3.5 years ago, fall of 2016, we had our first cohort of 14 students. And from the beginning, really wanted to take seriously how we are going to measure student learning and student growth in a way that both helped us get better and also had some credibility and could hopefully inform the larger field of sort of experiential high impact learning. If we start from the upper left, I think we could see the assessments kind of clustered in 4 areas. A lot of it's just student feedback, which I think is actually super useful and super helpful. And that ranges from a really intensive mid-semester kind of improvement clinic we do with students. Tell us what we're doing well, tell us what we could do better. We always learn a ton from that allows some real-time adjustments. But there's a lot we're learning from students. We're also looking to obviously have faculty assess student projects according to a rubric. And then I think one cool aspect of the model is that the mentors, every student has a mentor, one-to-one relationship, who's a social innovation leader or emerging leader, and they're sharing assessment along the way. certainly at the midpoint and at the end in particular for each student. At the end, we also have a pre and post assessment where every student across 34 different skill areas is assessing their own level of competency at the beginning and the end of the program. And then long term, we're looking at career outcomes, workforce outcomes, using the same tools that NACE uses with colleges across the country. So what I want to do now is just share quickly what we're learning, what we're seeing from the results, and then dive a little deeper into one set of results and open it up to discussion. So Fiona, let's go to the next slide. We'll go pretty quickly through these next 4 or 5. But we've seen the impact for students. We've worked with now close to 300 students and have complete data on close to 200 who finished the program as of last fall. We're seeing kind of, I'd say, 4 clusters of outcomes. One around kind of confidence and purpose and resilience. 2 around skills. I'll talk some more about what skills. 3 around networks, building kind of career and personal and professional networks. And then last, in terms of actual outcomes in the workforce for the about 100 students who finished our program and have also finished college and been out of college for 6 or more months. So quickly, we'll go through actually some of that data. Let's go to the next slide, Fiona. Thank you for moving these forward. Other way. There you go. So the pilot results, including student self-reported gains, really significant gains in a sense of kind of purpose and confidence and a sense of clarity about goals for the future. We're going to come back to that more because that's an area where I'd love to go a lot deeper and love to get your feedback. Fiona, let's go to the next slide. So we're also measuring a lot in all the ways that we talked about around skill development. And those skills include human-centered design, design thinking more broadly, giving feedback, getting feedback, and also public speaking. Every student on the final day at the graduation ceremony, they give a 3-minute TED talk. So we've got a series of kind of particular skills we're trying to build and a variety of ways of measuring those skills. Let's go to the next slide. We believe a lot that for students as they look to make the transition from college to career, that skills are really important, but that networks are critical as well. We have a goal of serving majority underrepresented students. We'll get to that more in a second. And so we both build networking skills, but also the program lends itself to students really building their network in pretty powerful ways. Let's go to the next slide. This is using sort of the NACE format for a first destination survey when students are 6 months after completing college. And the red bar for SITC, which is semester in the city, and then comparisons from University of New Hampshire as a whole, since that's almost half of our students have come from UNH in the early years. And then national is the NACE data set across about 350 colleges of 4-year college graduates. So you're seeing some good gains at this early stage. We don't want to take this for granted. The workforce is certainly going to change in the future, but it's also true that anyway, this is based on the first few cohorts to go through the program, and we're proud and excited that we are seeing some good placement outcomes for our students. If I was asked, a couple of years ago, what do you think is going to be the legacy of this program or the biggest impact, I would have said, well, I think it's going to be this combination of skills and networks that together will really drive powerful change for young people. And that sort of immersive semester-long program, moving what's often seen as extracurricular kind of into the curriculum, would be a powerful thing that hopefully more colleges could do even more of. Let's go to the next slide, Fiona. What I'm thinking about now, and I think this is the picture of our current cohort, 45 students enrolled in the program now. They experienced the first 8 weeks of the program in a pre-COVID world, not actually pre-COVID, but pre-social distancing, just we weren't thinking about it. And the last 7 weeks 2 more weeks to go, in, in Boston, amidst severe social distancing, all online internships. That, I think, as colleges are seeing around the country, has really raised questions just around how are students coping? In what ways is COVID kind of deepening existing challenges that a lot of people were noticing and talking about years ago around mental health challenges that students today are wrestling with. Students have always wrestled with that. Human beings have always wrestled with that, but it does feel like more acute. And it's got me thinking more, in what ways is this kind of program, this kind of immersive learning, in what ways does it contribute to students' sense of confidence and purpose and resilience and agency? And really believing that that may end up being the most important thing that, will then fuel skill gains, network gains, career gains, broader learning gains, and a lot of other areas. So I want to close the sort of speaking part of this and get to questions and discussion in a second with just a couple more slides that look a little more about who's in the program and also a little bit deeper at what we're learning from these assessment tools we already have from in this area. So students we're serving, even though we're in New England, which is one of the whitest parts of the country, 35% of our students have been students of color, close to a third first generation, more than half Pell eligible. Overall, 65% of our students have been from one or two or three of these kind of underrepresented groups, which is rare in the world of high impact learning. Study abroad, internship-based programs are often primarily accessed by students with more privileges. Let's go to the next slide. We have a residential community, so our students live in apartments in Alston, and we ask them to self-disclose any challenges, physical, mental, otherwise, that they think may interfere with their ability to sort of fully participate or access or succeed in the program. And 34% of our students this year self-disclose one or more mental health conditions that they felt could impact their participation in the program. You see those here. I don't know if people think this is a little high or a little low compared to norms on college campuses. My guess is it's reasonably in line with what we're seeing on your campuses, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Fiona, if we could go to the next slide. So this has made us want to think more, both being in the COVID era and just seeing those numbers and talking to students about their pathways forward around how can this program do an even better job of building that sense of resilience, of self-confidence, and of purpose. So this data here is from the pre and post tests so students are answering a question around their own sense of competency in 34 different areas, some of which are in these kind of this area of kind of purpose and confidence. So that first one, you see, I overcome challenges and roadblocks through continued effort, creative use of resources, and identification of alternatives. You're seeing some gains in that. I have clear goals for positive impact in the world. I know the steps I need to take. That sense of direction is growing a good bit over the semester. I believe in my own capacity for contributing to positive change. So anyway, that's a few, some data. We're seeing some gains in that pre-post test. And Fiona, the last slide I wanted to show, the one right after this. This is from the mentors at mid-semester and at the end of the semester, talking about the fellows' ability to kind of recognize their own strengths and weaknesses and look to kind of build on the strengths and improve in areas of weakness. Fellows persisting despite challenges and obstacles, and then fellows kind of managing their own stress, emotions, and behavior, particularly during times of conflict. So that's some of the data we have, but what I'd love to do is we just open to discussion is, number one, invite Fiona to share from the perspective of UNH, an original land-grant university and our first partner, share a little bit about, what does she think this kind of adds to a college? We're not an accredited college, so we work when colleges can accredit the learning. And in a little bit, then start a process of others opening up and talking about what are your suggestions, what are your questions, what are your thoughts on this model, which we hope to grow significantly in the years ahead.
Great, thanks, Eric. Hi, everyone. I'm Fiona Wilson. I am the University of New Hampshire's Deputy Chief Sustainability Officer, and part of my work at UNH is overseeing our Changemaker Collaborative, which is where we house high-impact learning focused on sustainability and social impact. As Eric said, we've been a partner with him and his team at the College for Social Innovation from the very beginning, and excited now to have 4 years, 8 semesters worth of students having gone through this incredible program. I think for us, high impact learning is a very high priority. It's part of our strategic plan to meaningfully grow the amount of rigorous, high quality, high impact learning, because we know how vital this kind of immersive learning is. We really believe about, helping our students take what they've learned in the classroom, right? Never to replace the classroom and what those students are learning in their majors, but we really believe in the importance of taking students out of the classroom, taking them out of the context they know, often taking them outside their comfort zone so that they can really learn those skills of resilience and purpose and confidence that Eric has been talking about, but also really learn how to apply the skills from the classroom in the context of the real world. I think for us, one of the reasons why we have been so excited to be sort of the pilot university for this and have now made it available to other universities through our partnership as the University of Record, is because it really places the importance on this kind of high impact immersive learning in the core curriculum. I'm sure, like many of you, we also have summer internship programs that are co-curricular. But I think, as a community, if we truly believe in the transformative nature of this kind of learning, we have to embed it within the curriculum. And we have to do it in a way that is affordable and accessible to students of all backgrounds so that we don't exacerbate the opportunity gaps. And so, for us, what we love about this program is that it allows students to do this as one of their 8 semesters, right, of a 4-year degree. And it's, putting full recognition on the value of this kind of learning. And we also love the kind of the financial model, which is that this costs students no additional money. So they are enrolled in UNH courses as normal, and if they have financial aid, all of that financial aid flows with them. So there are very few barriers to participation from a financial standpoint. And I'll just, I think, pause there, Eric, and if there's anything else you want me to touch on, I can.
No, you touched on one of the things that a couple of people in the chat asked about around how does this get approved or how is it financed, and I'll share just a little more on that. So we're a nonprofit right now. Philanthropy is subsidizing a bit the overall cost of operating the program, but our goal is to get to sort of break even through working with the college partners. And the cost to the students, as Fiona mentioned, is the same or sometimes even a little bit less than a traditional semester on campus. It's a lot less than most study away, study abroad programs that are out there, which is consistent with that goal of kind of broadening access to this kind of high impact learning. But so to be specific, colleges are contributing about $6,500 to $7,000 per student per semester. So often half or a third of what would be the cost of a study abroad program, even I think 15% of some of the most expensive programs. And then students paying the same or less. Title IV, student aid dollars, Pell, and otherwise are kind of flowing with the student to help underwrite the cost. The social impact organizations pay a small fee as well. That helps cover some of the costs. So there's sort of real skin in the game for them. In terms of approvals, there's kind of 2 pathways. Fiona mentioned that University of New Hampshire is the National University of Record. So that means that other colleges could, as is often the case with study abroad or study away programs, allow students to earn a semester of UNH credit, which transfers back to their institution. That's terrific. And so the 6 institutions, public and private, that are allowing their students to do this through UNH. And there's another 6 besides UNH who have directly accredited the work and have course numbers in their own catalog and allow their students to get a whole semester of credit for doing this. And that's usually involves the provost, sometimes a faculty committee or a department sort of approving the work as saying, hey, this should be not just co-curricular, but fully curricular. I would invite people, I think you're all able to unmute yourself and share a comment or question. So feel free to do that. And I'll also keep looking at the chat as well to see if more stuff comes up there.
Hello.
I see one from Danielle just around how community partners and mentors are involved, and are they paid for their time, partnership, et cetera. They actually are paying a small amount. So the host organizations, is what we call them, host organizations, which are primarily nonprofits, but some social mission businesses and some government agencies. They apply to host someone, and they're getting the benefit of someone who's not just showing up on Monday nights or a little bit, but is really with them for 400 hours over the course of the semester, doing a deep special project as well as ongoing sort of frontline work. So they actually pay a small $700 fee, but most importantly, what they contribute is a mentor who is the supervisor of the student. And we see that, and the organizations see that as a learning opportunity often for that mentor, but also a huge leverage opportunity where they get a 20, 21-year-old college student who's been placed at that organization because the work of that organization fits with the student's area of study and passion. And so the organizations are often seeing students as a way for them to accomplish projects they couldn't otherwise get to bring in creative new ideas. And again, the key thing is that so many internships are useful, but they're really limited in terms of the amount of time. And it's hard to get really into the guts of an organization, into the deep work of an organization, if you're there a few hours a week. But if you're there 30 hours a week for a whole semester, we're finding that students get real responsibility, and with that comes real deep learning.
And I would think I would just
partnerships. We have a whole team that builds, monitors, assesses those partnerships, weekly conversations, a lot of quality control. To that.
Eric, I was just going to add to that. I think, as a university partner, I think many of us at universities want to be doing this kind of learning, right, as part of our curriculum. But implementing it, I think, is hard for an individual university. And so what we appreciate is being part of a consortium now of 12 or so universities. We're all able to invest in this, but sort of basically share the cost, right, and have the infrastructure for this provided by the College for Social Innovation. I think internships can be transformative, but not all internships are created equal. And so what we've appreciated is the kind of, we call it the scaffolding that the College for Social Innovation provides. So there's a very intense process to vet any internship host site, including making sure that they really have that commitment to providing a mentor that will be fully committed and engaged. And then College for Social Innovation puts those mentors through a training before the beginning of the semester. So I think it really helps drive some of the outcome data you were seeing earlier, because there's such a commitment to creating this very strong kind of mentorship scaffolding. I think in addition to that, right, the sort of the real-time support from the College for Social Innovation's faculty. So students are coming back together Wednesday evenings and then all day on Friday. And they're able to sort of process their internship in real time, right? So they're sort of being given guided reflection so they can learn from what they're seeing and doing, and sort of building just-in-time skills around, working with mentors and working with bosses and communicating. So I think it really differentiates this experience from just any old internship because of the incredible scaffolding and sort of just-in-time learning that goes along with it.
In K-12 education, there's a lot of research that says there's not as big a difference as you might think in class size between a class of 10 or 30 or 200, but that when you get down to a class size of 1 or 2, there's a huge difference in terms of student learning. And here we have really a 1-to-1 ratio for a lot of hours. So I think if we pick those host orgs and most importantly mentors well, that's a big part of the secret sauce of the program.
Yeah, there's a couple of other questions in the chat, Eric. One is about, can we see the interns TED Talk somewhere? So yes, I'll post the registration link for the webinar that will be coming up on May 1 around that. And there's also archived ones on the website.
Yeah,
so
if
I'll
you go to the
post
collegeforsocialinnovation.org website, which I'll put in there right now,
Great.
You can see a video as well as navigate your way to a number of TED Talks.
There's also a question about wanting to know about the assessment metrics that we're using and the validated instruments. So Eric and I co-authored a chapter in the Ashoka U Changemaker Education Evaluation publication. I'm probably getting the title of that publication slightly wrong, but it was a publication that came out I think at the end of last year, and we have a whole chapter in there that talks about this in much more detail and includes the evaluation metrics.
Yep. Any other quick closing comments or questions from folks on the line?
Thank you, Charmaine, for putting the right title of that. So Evaluating Changemaker Education, a Practitioner's Guide. There's a chapter in there by Eric and I. I think we've covered.
I have a quick question.
Omer.
Yes, hi. Thank you for the presentation. I'm curious that if students are receiving credits for the whole semester, do they get a grade? And even if they're getting a grade or credits, there must be some way of doing an assessment, right? Who created that assessment overall, which is approved by all universities?
Yeah. Yes, so we in partnership with Fiona and others in our sort of team of instructors have put together rubrics and syllabi for 3 courses. So the internship is an 8-credit course, or sort of 2 courses worth of credit. And then there's a Wednesday evening class called the Social Innovators Toolbox and a Friday class called Becoming a Problem Solver, which are both 4-credit courses. Each have their own mix of projects, assignments, and assessments, and that forms the grade. And while this semester, because of the unique challenges that everyone's facing, a handful of students are opting for kind of pass-fail. Every previous semester, it's been graded, and I think the assessment methods are pretty rigorous. And colleges then do different things in terms of it always counts towards graduation, 16 credits, a full semester towards graduation. And depending on the major and the college, some of it, none of it, some of it, or all of it might count towards the major. And that's a big ongoing piece of work for us.
Yeah, and so for partners who are doing this through the University of Record, I act as the faculty of record at UNH. So I work with Eric's team, with the faculty to review the final grades for the courses and make any adjustments needed. But I would say that the faculty team at College for Social Innovation is incredibly rigorous, holds these students to very high standards. And over the last 4 years, we've made a few changes, including sort of mid-semester feedback from the mentors as well as the faculty, that sort of allows students to kind of correct, sort of course correct if they are not doing as well in some components of the program mid-semester.
Excellent. So we're at time. Thank you so much for joining. Great question at the end here about, do community partners participate in the grading? And the answer is yes, for the internship part of the course. And some of that data I shared around a mid-semester and end of semester rating by the mentor across 20 different areas with guided by a rubric that is part of the grade.
There's
which I
also a
think
question. There's also a question, Eric, about our internships project-based.
The internships, I think the nature of them is all project-based, and again, about half of the time, 400 hours, is a special project, where the student has some autonomy, and it's ending in a particular research project, a special event they've organized, a new curriculum, something like that. Of course, a lot of that had to be adjusted big time middle of this semester. Was literally, they went from being 100% in-person internships to 100% online within a week. I think they've actually gone quite well. In some cases, the project has lended itself very well to being able to do it through Zoom and research, etc. In other cases, people have had to come up with a new project. But thank you. I'm going to put in my email right here. I know myself, Fiona, would love to follow up with anyone who's interested in learning more, sharing ideas, and/or building a partnership with us. We want to grow the number of colleges that offer this to their students. We're doing it in Boston for now, but over time in other places as well. Thank you, and Charmaine, thank you as well.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thanks, Charmaine. Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.